Tear gas, screams, shields, rocks, and masks are the images coming from some South American countries that have become center stage for mass protests numbering in the thousands. So far, dozens of people have been killed in these violent clashes. The first violent demonstrations occurred in Ecuador after the government announced the elimination of fuel subsidies. A few days later, angry clashes between students and the police took over the streets of Chile's capital. The protests over income inequality erupted after President Sebastián Piñera announced a 30 peso increase in metro rides. In neighboring Bolivia, citizens took to the streets over allegations of electoral fraud by President Evo Morales. After 13 years in the presidency, Morales stepped down, suggesting he was being forced out. Even though he left office and the country, protests, riots, and violence continue in Bolivia as his supporters demand his return. Experts say while each South American nation is unique, these protests are rooted in the region's perennial themes of income inequality, poverty, and endemic corruption.
We have a situation that is a slowdown in economic conditions because of the falling commodity prices derived from the slowdown in China, and certain specific detonators that generate these reactions.
The International Monetary Fund estimates that since 2014, the economies of South America have grown an anemic 1.3%, and growth this year is expected to top out at only 0.6%. Economist Isaac Cohen says that in troubled times, minor issues can blow up into big problems. In Chile, for example, the trigger for the disturbances was a small increase in the price of a subway ticket. Protesters said it was not the 30 pesos, but 30 years of inequality and lack of opportunities, plus a privatized economy that led them to take the streets.
Chile had a very good situation, and one of the reasons why they were enjoying this very good situation, and people loved capitalism then, is because you have a situation where the prices of the main export have gone down, which is copper. People forget, for instance, that in the case of Chile, Chile is still a commodity exporting economy.
Corruption is another key element in the general discontent in the Latin American region. A Transparency International report indicates that 54% of Chilean citizens think corruption has increased in the last 12 months. This means Latin Americans are likely to continue to demand their governments aggressively tackle corruption, say experts.
And so citizens are feeling empowered. They want their governments to respond to the acts of politicians, and they're done. They're done with the impunity of the political classes.
Latin American experts emphasize that corruption, poverty, inequality aren't going away, and predict that violent protests are likely to continue well into the new year. Cristina, Caicedo, Smit, VOA News, Washington.